Imagine this. You've just scrubbed out of theater, you've got that familiar post-op exhaustion, and the coordinator pulls you aside.
Hmm.
They tell you the patient you just operated on needs an unplanned return to theater.
Oh, that's the worst feeling.
It is. And the initial review suggests there might have been, say, a retained swab or maybe a critical documentation error. And that cold dread just sinks in.
It does. You're suddenly at this huge ethical and professional crossroads.
Exactly.
And it's a high-stakes moment. I mean, the decisions you make right then in those first few minutes, they define patient trust, the integrity of the whole system, and, your own professional standing.
It's not just about the clinical side of what went wrong.
Not at all. It's about what you say next and, crucially, how you document it.
That's right. And that's our mission for this deep dive. We are cutting straight to the core of the situation. The duty of candor in UK healthcare.
A huge topic.
Huge. And it comes up all the time. So we're here to extract that core exam mindset and the practical step-by-step actions you need to navigate this correctly, quickly, and, well, ethically.
And the mindset, if you take one thing away, is this priority sequence. When things go wrong, you make the patient safe, you say sorry now, you explain what's known, you escalate, and that might be via Regulation 20, and then you document everything.
And that involves two distinct duties, doesn't it?
It does, they overlap, but one is professional from the GMC, and the other is statutory, which is on the organization from the CTC. We'll unpack both.
Okay, let's dive into that dual nature, because I think that's where a lot of the confusion can start. If we had to boil it all down to one single principle, what would it be?
I'd say it's apologize early, explain what you know, make the patient safe, escalate it the right way, and write everything down.
Okay.
That principle is just vital. So let's start with the professional duty of candor. This comes straight from the GMC's good medical practice and their specific candor guidance.
Right.
And this duty, it falls squarely on you, the individual doctor. It applies whenever there's harm or even just the potential for harm or, significant distress.
So, an example. If I accidentally prescribe a double dose of a drug, but the nurse spots it and fixes it before it's given, does that still count? The patient never even knew.
Yes, absolutely. That's a perfect example of professional candor.
Right.
Your duty means you have to be open and honest with the patient.
Even then?
Even then.
Yeah.
You tell them what happened, you offer a sincere apology, offer support, and then you have to take part in the learning review afterwards. It doesn't matter if serious harm actually happened. It's all about honesty and trust.
Okay, so that's the personal professional duty. Let's pivot to the bigger, more formal one, the statutory duty, CQC Regulation 20. So CQC is the Care Quality Commission, the regulator. How does Regulation 20 differ from what you've just described?
Well, Regulation 20 applies to the organization, the hospital trust, the clinic. It's not on you personally, but on the provider. And it gets triggered when an incident hits a very specific definition of a notifiable safety incident.
Meaning the harm is more serious.
Exactly. Moderate harm, severe harm, or death. When that line is crossed, the organization has to follow a very formal set of steps. Formal notification to the patient, a detailed written account of what happened, a recorded apology from the organization. It's a whole process.
And the enforcement is different, right? The GMC is worried about your license to practice.
Yep, your professional conduct.
But the CQC can take action against the whole hospital if it fails on Regulation 20.
That's the key context. Professional candor is for any time care goes wrong, big or small. Statutory candor, Reg 20, is only for when the harm hits that defined severity level.
And for any assessment, high scorers will do both.
Always. You start your professional duty immediately while making sure the organization is kicking off its statutory duty at the same time.
Okay, let's move from theory to action then. We're back in that moment. The unplanned return to theater.
We need a clear, step-by-step framework. What is the absolute sequence that scores the points?
It has to be chronological.
Yeah.
And safety and openness always come before process.
Okay, step one.
Step one, make safe the patient now. That is paramount. Stop any further harm, reverse the error if you can. If the patient is unstable, literally nothing else matters until they're clinically safe.
Right. Clinical priority first.
Yeah.
Then what?
Step two, apologize in person promptly. This shows you're sincere, you're focused on their distress, and crucially, the apology is for the distress and the fact something went wrong. It's not an admission of legal fault. We can come back to that.
Okay, but this is where it gets tricky, isn't it? How do you balance apologizing promptly with explaining what happened? If I apologize straight away, but I don't know the full cause, aren't I risking giving the wrong information?
That is a fundamental tension. And getting that right is the difference between a high and a low score. The trick is to define what you're apologizing for.
So in step 2, you apologize for their distress, for the unexpected turn of events. Then in step 3, you move to explain what's known and what's unknown.
Okay, so you're separating the apology from the full explanation.
Precisely. You build trust by sharing the facts you have right now, the immediate clinical findings, and you openly say that a full investigation is needed. You commit to updates.
So you'd say something like,
You have to explicitly state, we don't know the full cause yet, but here's what we know now, and here's what we are doing to fix it. And you must avoid speculating at all costs.
perfect. So we've stabilized the patient, said sorry for what's happened, given the known facts. What comes next?
Step 4. Escalate via governance and Reg 20. You tell your senior clinician immediately, and you must inform clinical governance. If the harm is serious, like our feeder example, you ensure that Regulation 20 process is started.
That's the organizational handover.
Yes. And finally, step 5. Document all discussions and actions. This is your defensive line. You create a crystal clear audit trail. Note who was there, the exact time you spoke to the patient, what you discussed, that an apology was made, and the plan for the review.
That framework seems to cover all the bases, the patient's needs, and the rules. We've actually got a memory hook for this to help you remember those key points in the conversation and documentation. It's OpenUP.
OpenUP is a great checklist.
So it's own it, present the facts.
Empathize and apologize. Next steps.
Use Reg 20 if you need to, and put it in the notes.
Yeah, if you hit all of those points, you've pretty much fulfilled both your professional and statutory duties. It's very comprehensive.
Let's focus a bit more on those serious CQC Regulation 20 triggers. You said it's for moderate or severe harm or death. What are the specific red flags that tell us Reg 20 must be triggered?
Okay, you need to know these clinical markers. The most common ones are about needing acute intervention. So our initial scenario, an unplanned return to theater or an unplanned admission to ICU, those are immediate automatic triggers for Regulation 20.
Okay.
But another one, a detail that often surprises people, is about harm that isn't physical. Prolonged psychological harm is also a trigger.
How is that defined?
Specifically, if in a reasonable clinical opinion, the symptoms of psychological distress are expected to last for 28 days or more.
28 days.
Equal to or greater than 28 days, yes. So this isn't just a brief shock. It's harm that's significant enough to require mandatory organizational reporting.
That 28-day marker is so specific. It's really useful for recognizing the pattern. It's the difference between knowing the rule and knowing how to apply it.
Absolutely. And you have to remember the statutory duty also kicks in if the incident needed specialist help to prevent death or severe harm. Even if the patient got away without serious injury in the end, it's about the potential severity.
Right. Now let's tackle the elephant in the room, the apology myth. For years, doctors were sometimes told to keep quiet because saying sorry felt like admitting legal liability.
The fear of getting sued.
Exactly. What is the definitive legal and ethical standing on that now?
The guidance is completely uniform. The GMC, the CQC, and most importantly, NHS Resolution, the people who handle negligence claims, are all aligned. A sincere apology is expected. It is an ethical duty. And it is not an admission of legal liability.
Why is that guarantee so strong now? What changed?
Well, the law now separates empathy from culpability. There's legislation in England, the Compensation Act 2006, that makes it clear an apology or an offer of support does not in itself count as an admission of negligence in court.
So that fear
has to be completely discarded. You are ethically and professionally safe and, in fact, obligated to apologize immediately for the distress caused.
That's a really powerful point. And just to be clear, on the lower end, what about a real near miss? Say the wrong blood product was prepared, but it was caught right at the last second. No physical or psychological harm at all.
Even there, the professional duty of candor still applies. You still need to be open and document it. Reg 20 isn't triggered because there was no harm, but that professional duty to explain errors and learn from them is constant. You should still be open with the patient about what happened and what's being done to stop it happening again.
Okay, here's where we refine the strategy. In an exam setting, where do most people lose marks? What are the classic decoys we need to look out for?
The traps are almost always designed to test your priorities, and they always punish delay or avoiding personal responsibility.
Right.
The number one trap, the one you see all the time, is wait for the investigation before apologizing.
And why does that fail so badly?
It just completely violates that GMC principle of immediate patient-centered care. It makes the patient's distress worse. It suggests the process is more important than they are, and it just looks evasive. You have to apologize for the distress now.
An apology is the start of the conversation, not the end of it.
Precisely. The second trap is let governance handle it. Say nothing yourself. This fails because candor is a personal, professional duty. You can't just delegate your responsibility to be open. You have to be involved in that conversation.
Okay, what's another one?
A third one is about unprofessional behavior. Blame another team or the computer system in front of the patient.
Well, that's a disaster.
It's catastrophic.
Yeah.
It's speculative, it's unprofessional, and it completely erodes the patient's trust in the entire system.
And a final trap, maybe one that shows a misunderstanding of the process.
Yes, something like inform the patient and then post details on social media to be transparent. It's an immediate fail. It breaches confidentiality, and it completely bypasses the formal, mandated channels for reporting. Candor requires professionalism, not public declarations.
So if we know we have to be open and prompt, what are the words we should actually use? Can you give us some model phrases?
Your language needs a clear structure. Acknowledge what happened, express regret, state the facts you have, and outline the next steps.
Okay.
So you could use, I'm so sorry this has happened. We know that the care you received wasn't to the standard we expect. Here's what we understand about your condition right now. Here's what we're doing to keep you safe, and we will update you next after our initial review.
And if Regulation 20 is triggered,
then you have to explicitly commit to that formal process. It gives the patient reassurance. Say something like, we will be starting the formal organizational review today. This means we will provide you with a full written summary. I will remain your key contact, and I'll personally make sure you receive the findings in writing. That hits all the notes: professional duty, safety, and the statutory commitment.
this has been a really practical deep dive into what is a very high-stress area of practice. So let's summarize the 3 most critical points for you, the listener, to take away. First, apologize early with factual clarity. And remember, the law protects you. That apology is not an admission of legal liability. Just say sorry for the distress and do it promptly.
Absolutely.
Second, escalate via governance and CQC Regulation 20 when it's triggered. You have to know those harm thresholds, that unplanned return to theater or that 28-day marker for psychological harm.
Know the triggers.
And third, record everything: your discussions, your actions, your follow-up plans. Your documentation is the evidence of your candor.
Oh.
Note who, when, what was said, and the plan going forward.
The audit trail.
So what does this all mean? Well, mastering this framework means you're meeting your ethical duties to the GMC and the statutory rules from the CQC. You're protecting patients, rebuilding trust, and you're protecting your own license to practice.
And we'll end with a final provocative thought just to connect candor to courage. The duty of candor is about being open about your involvement in an error. But what if the challenge is different? What if you see an error by a colleague, or the organization tries to pressure you to delay or cover something up? How does your commitment to openness, your duty of candor, relate to your professional obligations for speaking up or whistleblowing? Because sometimes transparency requires courage in more than one direction.